Ladies and gentlemen, today we have Don Kaka back on the podcast.
Nice.
The LA designer, the artist, the creator, and my brother from another mother. Thank you so much for your time, brother.
Thank you for the intro, G.
Last time we talked about New York,
Yeah.
right? And how long you were there? You a few
Uh,
years.
a little less than 2 years.
So tell us about what was the most interesting thing you encountered, what the most interesting thing you saw other people were doing in New York.
Most
Um,
interesting thing I saw other people
were
doing.
like absolutely different than than Cali, than San Diego, than your whole life.
Hmm. I encountered in New York was that into Brooklyn on a train called the L train. Every stop was like a class, and you go down the totem pole of classes. Each stop you get off on the train. So it was like the first stop into Brooklyn, which I believe was Bedford. It that was like the richest young people that lived out there. Then the next few stops, a little bit still upper, people with more money, but still a little bit less than the upper. Then the more stops you go down, the more poor it becomes, and the less money the people have. So that was like a kind of a funny. But then I guess at some point, because of gentrification, actually, this this is what I encountered in New York that was so prevalent was gentrification, and I witnessed it with my fucking eyes. Heard stories of essentially the landlords were doing this that owned the buildings. They understood that if they r- got rid of the people living in the building and then remodeled the building, made it nice, expensive, luxurious, doubled, tripled the rents, and then had young people fucking stacked inside. That was a common thing happening. And what they would do to get rid of the people that lived in the fucking buildings was they would pay them. They would give them like 20, 30, and if they're super stubborn, they would give them like $50,000 to just leave. And that was something that I encountered out there a lot, which essentially was pushing away the original people that were there, that lived there all their life, getting rid of them, making them go deeper, deeper, deeper into Brooklyn until they disappeared. And then it's just a bunch of like well-off young people that live in those spaces and just essentially go to work, party, do whatever young people do.
Do their thing,
And
right?
essentially they're coming from all different parts of the world too in the US.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I think that is also the way for the economy to grow. And here's why, because actually I myself have encountered something like this too, in Beijing specifically, and it's been, let's say from 2005 to 2015, this 10 years. Of course, the whole China economy has been growing and developing so much, and of course
Mm-hmm.
Beijing as well. So Beijing as well is like exactly Brooklyn, in this manner, which is like the government will actually give people money
Uh-huh.
that, let's say, more closer to a city center, and they will give them like, for example, depends on how big your apartment is
Mm-hmm.
and where your original little houses was, like, because like very very, maybe 20, 30 years ago inside Beijing there are literally villages, but now
Uh-huh.
they're like not at all, because
Yeah.
the government whether give them money or they agree to, okay, cool, let's say how big your square feet it is yours. I will
Mm-hmm.
give you, if you move, let's say 5-10 kilometers outside, we'll give you double of the size. we'll
Really?
give we'll give you two apartment, or we'll
Wow.
give you like 1 million RMB. Depends on also depends on how stubborn these people are, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And and actually many people in Beijing actually got extremely wealthy because of that, and we even have a saying for that.
Huh.
We have a saying, it's called them the second generation of the wealthy, because their parents have the property, and then let's say, for example, their parents could be like villagers and farmers, right? And
Mm-hmm.
because of the government use that land, so they give them, like 2 million RMB, and what they do with 2 million RMB, right? Maybe they spend 1 million buy a G Wagon.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And then they'll be like, this seems like they'll be balling inside the city, and which is very interesting. Which is very interesting.
Yeah, see, this is slightly different though because they're not get. This isn't the government giving the money in New York. It's essentially the landlords just trying to get rid of the poor people and doing anything they can to get rid of them. I even heard actually they would turn off people's lights, turn off people's water just to fuck with them, just so they could leave. The situation in New York was more greed based situation, and so
however, I generally do think that although it is motivated by greed, but also like the rich people coming in or the people have money coming in is not 100% all of them have skills or talents, right? But I would say that a lot of them do have skills and talent from all over the world, right? So
that graduated mostly, that got a job in New York.
Yeah,
they'll go into those areas.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they come in, knowledge with special skills, and they not only contribute to the city of the economy, but also they will spend more money as well when they're living closer to the city.
I mean,
so that's interesting.
Yeah, that idea of gentrification is like slightly controversial because it displaces.
It's like the native people live in New York for years, right? Like,
exactly.
They could be their grandparents or something like that. They could be there here the whole time. And then,
exactly. And it's like a double-sided thing. It's like, you're getting rid of the old to make room for the new, but at a certain expense. It's like, that's why it's slightly controversial. And there's a lot of people like always opposing that from happening. And I think at one point I was opposed to it too, but then I looked into it a little bit more, and it's essentially just like a historical cycle that happens consistently. Like this has actually been happening for years. So but
I was
so.
And actually, I think like learning from a landlord, I've been thinking about this myself too. For all those audiences who do not know, I'm right now currently living in Spain, Valencia, and in my neighborhood, and like Kaka told you before, that in my neighborhood there are like just many buildings, apartment buildings for sale. Which is just like, like, and they are, how to say, the inside is absolutely just like very bad, and the people can the people who have money can just come in and buy the whole apartment building, and then they can actually gentrify it and then make it luxury, because the location is like the heart of the city. And like one of the most famous iglesia, which is a church in Spain, and and also around in this neighborhood, because this is old. I imagine someone make the only modern apartment building here in the city in Valencia, and just can imagine the return of investment will be extremely high. After New York, and which year did you leave New York to come back to Cali?
2016. 2016.
Gotcha.
Tell
us a little bit about, because personally I know that how you did a few other entrepreneurial endeavors, and you interact with a lot of people. Tell us about maybe some of your lessons you learned from other entrepreneurs endeavor, and you, or at least made you like made you a better person or more mature.
I mean, actually more so negative things that I noticed shaped my ideas versus positive, because I for the most part already had an idea of how to go about business, but there's a lot of things in business that you have to avoid, and traps that people fall into. And the biggest one of all was being in a business for the wrong reasons, and essentially having certain motives that are not towards the goal of the business. It's more so essentially like starting a business for the sake of hoping to strike it rich, and for almost even for the idea of just starting a business, which to me is like a wrong way of thinking. I think a business should be started out of like passion and out of a necessity or a lack in the marketplace for that business. So whether it's a service or a product, and I think a business should serve a true purpose. But a lot of the times it's very easy to fall into a trap starting a business for reasons other than that. Again, greed, money is a big place card where people start businesses just for the sake of the fact that they think they can make money quickly doing that business. I mean, a big quick example that we both had some part of is the blockchain, and that all these people rushed starting phony businesses, hoping that they can strike it rich because they saw a few other people doing it. To me, and those type of ideas were kind of shaped my way of thinking, that like business is essentially just there to serve a structure for a purpose, maybe. Yeah.
I totally agree, because it's like from slightly the other angle to look at the thing you're talking about, it is exactly those people that in the blockchain scene for the wrong purpose, that they would run when they're running the business, maybe they'll do some shady things.
Exactly.
And
Foreigners,
also because those people do kind of certain kind of things, we will make the outsider looks like everyone in blockchain is doing shady things, which is a little bit sad.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
Also too with businesses, like, is there even any purpose? Like when I mentioned purpose, it's like, is there any even reason for you to be doing that sort of business? Where it's like I said, to me, I think a business to fill a void in the most simplest way in the marketplace. Like for example, say it's like there's a problem and the business does whatever, whether a product or service that attempts to solve that problem. And in that sense, I think that's where the power of business is. That's what drives me, I think, in business, is doing something completely different. Because otherwise, like, what's the point? I mean, why should there be 5,000 of the exact same business with the slightest of variation? I mean, there's no point. Odds are that probably 90% of them are going to fail, 95%. A few of them will make it through, just based off pure luck, maybe.
And now in this moment, after you said, it really made me think about, like, where did these people get this idea of they even think they could just do something quick and rich, make money and just dip?
I mean, I think
curious.
Well, this idea has been going on also for a long time. I mean, the earliest example I could just think of off the top of my head is the gold rush back in. I mean, it's not essentially business, but it's the same concept of doing something for the wrong reasons. Like when the gold rush happened, people from all over the world flocked to this area hoping they'll strike rich with gold. The majority of them did not, and actually ended up poorer. And the people that actually made the money with the gold were the people selling the tools to the gold rush people. And that's actually a funny example, because of a business being created to fulfill a lack in the marketplace. So these gold rush people needed tools to dig for the gold, and these people created a business to sell them the tools they needed for digging gold.
And amazing, because back to, and this will be the last example of the blockchain. It's like in the blockchain scene too, right? Like all the people that doing the marketing services, and like even your boy back in the days are doing the events, and like like the I believe that's called the ecosystem around that, right? Like when people rush into that thing, and that's when and then those kind of other businesses that serve this business with this purpose, like marketing, PR, events, and advertising, and all those are just like came out of
I mean, out of the woodworks, out of nowhere.
Life.
I mean, the thing too with that is that even in that sense, it's like only the early adopters are going to be for the most part, the successful ones. All the people that like the ones providing the marketing services or whatever, the ones providing the structure of the ecosystem for it to thrive. Usually only the early ones, the first ones that got in, are going to be the big players and actually maybe make some sort of money or whatever. Everyone else coming in, even with similar services to them, are essentially just doomed. Unless again, the other thing with business is doing something, and in that sense too, with those people, you have to provide. If you're providing a service, it has to be the greatest service. You have to outcompete everybody else. Essentially, you don't even want competition. You should be doing something that is uncompetable almost, to me. So, but yeah.
What I'm about to ask is a big question. It's not something that can so easily just think on top of the head, but more so is getting the vibe, right? How are you going about, or like now, in the future, make sure that, Kaka is like, becoming the uncompetable voice in the fashion industry?
I guess making sure that I'm always staying ahead of the curve and innovating and creating clothes that don't exist and creating concepts of clothing that don't exist yet or that I have not seen and yeah, essentially don't exist. And
Yeah.
I guess that's how it would be. Let me think too a little deeper. Is yeah, I guess is just making sure that we are creating the new, that we are doing everything we do is non-existent. We are the first to place what we do, and also being years into the future and into what I mean at this very moment right now. Obviously, my clothes are more towards the artistic side of things, like paintings in a way. But in the future, my mind is going more towards innovation, towards just pushing the boundaries of what people think clothing is. And what that is at the
Absolutely.
moment, I can't say. But yeah.
Exactly. The interesting part because me and you and everyone within Kaka gets it. And let me just say something that I can say is that one thing that myself and Don included, everyone within the team that also extremely looking forward soon in the short future that we'll be dedicating a huge amount of funds into something like R&D, like
R&D,
research and
yeah,
development,
exactly. Yep.
and
I mean,
like new
probably the majority.
material and
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
that will be very, very interesting. Amazing that that can get you to talk about that vibe a little bit. And okay, so let's take a step back a little bit now of in the moment, in the present, and maybe a little bit even slightly in the past, which is roughly about it's been to be a month since we dropped the Darkest Summer in LA collection.
it's been I think about 2 weeks. Yeah.
2 weeks. Okay, cool. Which is very funny. Like the right after we dropped the Darkest Summer in LA collection,
Yeah,
all the
the
protests
world
start to
erupts. Yeah.
yeah, and then which is also coming back to how do we make sure we're staying ahead of the curve. Sometimes we actually just come down to meditate, and then the whole universe is aligned with what we're doing, right? Which is
Yeah.
absolutely amazing. Um, yeah. So I want to shout out to you and shout out everyone within the company, which is when the protest and the Black Lives Matter movement really starts to taking off, or even when it just like the
Yeah,
first
just started.
day
Yeah,
or
the
so.
first day. Yeah.
Yeah, the first day or so, like like everyone in LA went on the street and really supports, be there, be the change, right?
Hmm.
And tell us a little bit more about the process because like I
I
went to
mean, yeah,
protest here in Europe, and I just from the video that you all sent me, I just know it is absolutely different. And tell us
yeah,
about
totally. I mean, see, the difference I would say with what was going on here was the root was American. I mean, although this is going on, these issues are going on all around the world, but it's. I mean, so I guess let me trace back. I mean, we dropped the collection. I think the next day, George Floyd gets killed, and then the day after that, the fucking Minneapolis erupts, and then all over the U.S. and all the major cities, and then L.A. And then we all saw as soon as that happened, it was just complete chaos, especially in L.A. And I only speak for LA because I'm here, and people went to the streets. People started looting, destroying shit, and to some extent for good reason. I mean, but nobody, in a sense, was prepared for that. And again, it was a long time coming. I mean, it was about time. In that sense, the beginning stages were essentially the people fighting against the police. I mean, we all seen the videos and stuff of the police attacking protesters and antagonizing them, and essentially the first week maybe of the protest was just that was the people against the police and the police fighting the people. And the first few days that I went to protest, I think I went out onto the streets maybe 2 days after. Yeah, it was exactly 2 days after the it all started. And we jumped in an Uber. Me and my brother Obi, the guy dropped us off, and it was funny too. This was because we weren't sure if we should have went, because we were slightly fearful because we saw the videos. We were like, fuck, what if we get attacked? But we were like, you know what, this is something just greater than ourselves. It'd be a shame not to be a part of it and at least see what's going on. Like if there's a revolution going on, you best believe we'll be in the front lines. Anyway, so we jump out of the Uber and we see a group of people marching down, I believe, Hollywood Boulevard, and we start marching with everybody. It was completely peaceful. It was beautiful, and we were like, wow, this is everyone's shouting, and I just felt a rush of energy, and me, Obi, my brother, Obi had his camera, he's taking photos, documenting it, and we're just like, wow, this is kind of amazing. It's beautiful, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, 10, 15 cop cars just pull up on the street, block us, and start shooting rubber bullets. And then we all run and just
and this was
right
at Hollywood
away.
Boulevard too, right?
Yeah, right away. And we weren't that big of a group too, because this was early on. So we were maybe 500 people, maybe. Yeah, they start shooting, we run, and we're just like, everyone's just now panic, and then we kind of hide. Then we come back, confront the police. They shoot again. Everyone's confused because nobody was causing any sort of ruckus. We were just marching on the street, which is a constitutional right. Also, the ability to gather. More cops came, and it was just very tense. And then eventually, they let the people go after like some time. I think what they wanted to do was show their dominance, kind of put fear into the people. And but essentially they all left, and we marched all the way down to the mayor's house. And then the group was huge, and we essentially took over the streets of LA, blocked traffic, which was beautiful. It was just a show of power to the people. And yeah, we marched on the mayor's house. And after that, so that first time, when we get to the mayor's house, it was as we were marching, there was this sense of like pride and again of just a total adrenaline rush of what it meant to be American. I mean, to me, the concept of America and being American is like just pure freedom, power of the people. Like that's the concept of America is the people power, which obviously over time and maybe even from the beginning has been distorted heavily. But this was just like something I've never experienced, where it was like, it clicked to me that, wait a minute, the people in large groups with a similar idea have power, period. Like in any situation. And so, yeah, it went back multiple other times. And overall, I will say that on the protest grounds that it was, again, just a show of power of the people. I mean, without even getting into the cause. I mean, we all know the cause and what the issues that we were out marching. Although one thing I will say that at certain moments it felt like there wasn't any direction of the protest. But then further past anything, I mean, it was a protest against police brutality, a protest against a concept that potentially Black people are more targeted by the police, which is true. I mean, it's been true for a long time. I mean, and it was just people standing up, people being sick and tired. I mean, and the other propeller of it is like government locks people down. We're in the middle of a pandemic. The government locks people down. People have no jobs. They have no money. They have nothing to do. And then all of a sudden, police consistently keep committing these acts of fucking terror to the people that they're supposed to be protecting, regardless of anything. And then essentially it was just like, you want to lock us down, you want to beat us down, you want to fucking destroy us. I think another thing people were mad about was the fact that how the government handled the situation of people being locked at home and having no money and no jobs. I mean, yeah, they try to pump money into the economy, but so little. People barely got any money, and companies got more, corporations got more money than the fucking people did. And what do you expect? Like,
absolutely. And they fucking probably printed all the money, you know?
Yeah, they did. I mean, hyperinflation's going on, but it's just crazy to me that what else do you expect? Of course, this to me is more a show. I mean, Ray Dalio, I think, was talking about this too, in a different sense, but it matches to what was going on. This is just a show of what happens when you marginalize a group of people into like, this is class warfare. This is like beating down the majority of people in a population, and poorest or the most underprivileged group, beating them down consistently, and then expecting them to be okay with it. I mean, at some point they're going to revolt. You just cannot treat people like that and expect everything to be okay. And this is which is why I say it's a class situation. It's essentially the lower class against the upper class. And the funny thing too, I mean, is that people can say anything they want. I mean, there's a lot of people against what's going on, but it's like it's just as easy to take care of people in the richest country in the world than not to. So, I mean, so they made their choice and they fucked up, and this is the results. I mean, people are sick of this bullshit, and this is just a sign of it. So,
This, what you just expressed, and remind of this American historian, social critic, the notorious and amazing Noam Chomsky, one of his
yep.
quote, hey, he said, if we don't believe in freedom of expression for people we despise, we don't believe in it at all.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
it's crazy, huh? It's crazy.
It really is. Yeah.
You told me about this story before, and along with the protests, like one of the many protests you went on, that you saw where you heard what happened after the curfew?
I forgot about that. I mean, yeah, during the beginning stages of the protest, they put a curfew in the whole city, and anybody
6 p.m. in Los Angeles is insane. I can't even believe that.
And anybody that was out on the streets in certain areas, there's videos. The police jumped out of the cars and started beating them and arrested them, which was just insane. And eventually, after 3 days of that, they fucking got rid of the curfew because they were like, "Holy shit, this looks so bad." Essentially during this whole thing, the police just kept showing how brutal they were. They were just constantly kept proving the case of who they truly are. So, yeah.
This really made me feel. This is like right now. I just feel like intense, like intense form of energy and emotion. It is like really when someone or a group of people not coming from love or understanding or like actually open-minded want to discuss, have a conversation about how can we solve this together. And it will just only and it's been like that since day one, human history. There are only two ways: whether we talk about it, talk it out, or we just go to war. Right.
I mean, revolution. Yeah. I mean.
Yeah. It's like war. Like I'm talking about in history, from a history point. Like back in the days, people going to war, and
well, that's essentially what a revolution is. It's a war against the government.
Exactly. It's like extremely intense form of conflict, and I also read this, because we talked about New York City earlier. And my friend also sent me some of the photos of what's going on. Because New York City have 8 p.m. curfew as well, for about a week. And check this out. The last time, so like this time they have a curfew is June 2nd in New York City, right? The last time New York City was under curfew was in February 1945.
Wow.
And Franklin Roosevelt was the president then.
Wow.
It has been 75 years, and it's just so crazy.
I mean, it's funny too, because essentially it's the rhetoric from the president, from his part of the government, from the people that support him, of what's going on is, there's these savages on the street destroying, anarchy, terrorism, and it's so crazy to me, because how stupid do you have to be to not understand that the only reason this is going on is because there's a problem? If there wasn't a problem, there wouldn't be this going on. So now essentially you have to look at, okay, there's a problem. How do we quickly solve the problem so none of this happens, versus trying to they want this to stop, because they know that, I mean, there's nothing worse for a government and a country than their own people revolting against them. I mean, that's the worst thing you could possibly have.
Yeah. Well, over here, I would just have to elaborate your point using another Noam Chomsky quote, and I'm definitely using this quote just to make a point, and it's just because he said it in such an amazing way. It's like, check this out. It is only terrorism if they do it to us. When we do much worse to them, it is not terrorism. It's like, and this in the case it will be like, it will be only violence or chaos if certain group of people, or maybe the people do it. You know what I'm saying? And because
Mm-hmm.
over here in Europe, myself, myself, I do not watch news, but the friends around me, and here in Spain and in some other country in Germany, the international media is all like that. Hey, it just like it's all one narrative because
Yeah, exactly.
you have said something like this before. It's like they really shift that to narrative that made people to be afraid to get on street.
Free.
I mean, look at before
Yep.
you went on the protest for the first time, and
Yeah.
you were a little bit afraid because that's the image they portrayed.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And I mean, yeah, and essentially, I mean, and that was slightly what was going on because the cops were provoking it. Essentially, it was like they were trying to stop this from happening, and now it's just too late. Now it's out of their hands. There's nothing they can do. Like, uh, yeah. So
Yeah,
yeah,
and this like coming back a little bit on what the brand has been doing, Kaka, as a business, as a group of people, a group of individuals and human beings been doing is that. So definitely shout out to you of donating all the profit to Black Lives
yeah.
Matters and National Bailout Fund, because it just like
I mean, it's such a
fuck like
small
yeah.
thing, but it's yeah. I mean, I think for us to do that too was also more so to attempt to set an example. I mean, we all saw what happened with Virgil, $50, like
Yeah, the homie.
just sad, absolutely just. And no matter what, I mean, of course he went and he wrote a long thing and apologized, but to me it was just uh, a brand of his stature and a man of his stature. Um, I mean, I guess we shouldn't even expect anything
Yeah,
from
yeah.
a brand or a
And
person like that. But I guess,
right.
but yeah. So
My point, I feel like my point is like, and this might be the reason that we want to and we are moving up, is that when someone's in that position, or how to say, when someone has the influence, or someone is the
exactly,
leader in a way, right? He or that person could have, like, it's like his words or his action would mean so much more
so
than
much
just
to it would
himself, right?
yeah, it would create a network effect, and
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
And
and
I would say, like, I would say, of course the people are angry, but I also like most of the people just absolutely disappointed of his
disappointed exactly.
action.
I mean, because see, with him, he's a black designer in a world that's
And
that's
I
so
believe he's
tight
from, probably
knit.
from Chicago or something.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, I'm not sure, somewhere. And the thing too, it's like it's just like you said it right. It's disappointing that this guy, a symbol, just. I mean, but then again, look at what he sells. Look at his products. Look at. I mean, yes, I guess a counter argument would be that he is essentially a big force in fashion that is opening doors for young black people to have opportunities that they would have never had. But I mean, I guess in times like this, the is when his actions would have been um, most needed, I guess. But I mean, who are we to say? I get, but that's also putting him onto a pedestal. You know,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
exactly.
he sells overpriced. I don't even want to say, but overpriced
Garbage.
junk. Yeah,
I'm gonna
junk.
say it.
I mean, and like what contribution is he making to society already? Like, I mean, his whole. I mean, it's just his company is just shit. I mean, he goes to Louis Vuitton, artistic director at Louis Vuitton, one of the biggest luxury brands, also just fucking selling people on this image of luxury that to me is just holding the world back. Like, I mean, to me, he's nothing different than anybody else in fashion that is essentially just holding on to these old school ideas of selling people what this bullshit idea of luxury and enslaving them. It's like, I mean, so
and
we should
and I
have
feel like
expected nothing more.
yeah, it's like and I feel like from us and I would say from the angle of Don Kaka, like we're just disappointed, right? Also back to the thing,
Yeah,
right? He is already in this position. I mean, imagine if he were innovating, he would be doing so much more, right?
yeah. I mean,
And if he will
exactly.
be innovating, people will only love him and his stuff more.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
and also there's some data and backup to the listeners, you know, just so the listeners knows, because I personally look into this kind of things and I love, you know, slightly geeky about this. So this company bought Off-White parent company, and one deal was 675
Yeah,
million in
yeah,
2019. And then the homie donated $50. I'm not going to tell anyone what to think. I'm just putting the numbers out here, right?
yeah,
Just so people know. And also, there are people can look at this up too. Louis Vuitton, they have been constantly doing so. 20% increase from the beginning of the year, the end of the year. One item they'll have 20% of the price increase.
wow,
Just some data out there for those people that who are listening, or maybe who they used to bought this stuff or enjoy
hmm,
consuming this kind of product. But
yeah,
anyway, you know, it's yeah, exactly. But also the podcast is not about them. And
yeah,
so that's interesting. But overall, just coming back to this is, I bet this is something me and you been talking about quite a lot and been thinking a lot too, which is
hmm,
this is a time to call for change, and this is a time
exactly.
for young people, especially young people, to really take ownership and take responsibility to lead.
And yeah, and shift the past ideas placed by these people that have no good intentions for the progression of society. I mean, all these designer brands do nothing but fucking again, just push this idea of bullshit luxury. They just take garbage and brand it. They're just master branders, and people fucking go crazy over this shit. And they have no morals. These companies, they don't give a shit about anybody or anything but the profits. These brands are all owned by a few fucking companies that are all 100% profit driven, no matter what anybody says. I mean, and yeah, and there needs to be a shift. And I think what's happening now is more these they're getting there's more of an exposure that, hey, we need new ideas, new companies, new ways uh, of being, I guess. But yeah,
New way of new way of creating things, new way of
yeah,
consuming things, and new way
yeah,
of like thinking. Like it gotta be,
mm-hmm,
yes, critical thinking has been, you know, like talking about or quote unquote being taught in university or in schools. But I mean, I would say that maybe the critical thinking is only the way they want us to critical think.
yeah, exactly,
It could be,
exactly,
it could be. And actually, there's another amazing quote, and to talk about, you know, like on the example of, like, you know, company like Off-White, you know, something like this, like, you know, what you talk about, very interesting word, master branders, right? So
mm-hmm.
which is this quote, I'm gonna drop this: he who controls the media controls the minds of the public.
There you go. I
Right?
mean,
It's like everything, right? From the ideas, from telling people how to think, from telling
yep,
people what to buy, from telling people what is cool,
yep.
and what is quote unquote stylish, what is quote unquote, like, you know, um, yeah, it's just it's really interesting. And, you know, let alone, you know, with LVMH, you know, buying
Mm-hmm.
Tiffany, you
Tiffany,
know, this year.
fucking hell. It's just
Yeah,
creating. It's it's a few companies controlling the idea of luxury onto a mass population, and it's just, I don't know, that just sickens me because
yeah.
it just harbors any ability for anybody to change that, because they're so strong. They have so much money. They can manipulate any type of framework they want, and they owning all the biggest brands that people have come to. I mean, we've grown up like thinking that Louis Vuitton, Dior, Gucci, all these brands are like Chanel, Dolce and Gabbana, Givenchy, like I don't know, just all these brands are like, oh my god, wow, they're so amazing. Like I wish I had enough money so I could buy a product from them. But why? Because we were sold this idea young as kids through our parents, through the media, through rappers, through culture that these brands signify ultimate status and luxury. And it's bullshit. It's just genuinely bullshit.
Yeah. I agree.
It's just they're literally just curated. It's just ideas that we were ingrained into our brains early on, and it's so hard to leave because even today I get, wow, Louis Vuitton. You see Louis Vuitton, instantly something lights up in your brain.
Yeah, exactly. And then also,
there's nothing fucking great about it. There's nothing great about
exactly. It's like it's so much. It's just so much about like the branding and marketing they do, right? And yeah, and also like since we're on this topic and on this topic about fashion, and also me and you, and especially you, know so much about like fashion. I would like to, for the audience to just let them know a little bit about some other brands that LVMH own. They own Dom Perignon, right? They own
Dom Perignon,
Hennessy.
Hennessy.
They own Moet and Chandon. Yeah,
Moet Chandon. Yeah. They own a lot of. They essentially own
Givenchy.
a bunch of luxury.
Sephora. They own Sephora. Hey.
Sephora, yeah. They bought a piece of Rihanna's brand.
Marc Jacobs as well.
I think so.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure.
I'm looking at.
Oh, are you? Okay.
Yeah. Fendi. Oh my god.
Fendi. There you go. Some of the most popular brands.
How do you pronounce that? Bulgari. Yeah.
Bulgari.
Jewelry brand.
Yeah.
It's absolutely crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And this year they bought, they bought Tiffany out straight out of New York.
Yeah, they want to control luxury.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's
And it's funny too because these brands are garbage. They're just brands because the only reason these brands were any good in the beginning was because they were run and owned by the designer.
Yeah, were actually designed Christian Dior and then the new look back in the days.
Exactly. He was innovating fashion. He was innovating what people wore.
Otherwise, people would not call that a new look. But now there's no new look from Christian Dior. It's only
there's nothing. It's just what can we sell?
Exactly.
What can we fucking sell people? And what will they buy from us? And how can we sell them more? Exactly. That's all that it is.
Is it, it's kind of like for example, right? It's, I hope I'm not remember it wrong, but it's kind of like Universal still making money off Michael Jackson's old songs. He'll keep dropping his songs, and like
exactly. but taking old Michael Jackson vocals and trying to fucking put it together and get it up. Yeah,
it's crazy. Yes, let's okay. So with that, I believe the audience, they already their brain definitely connecting and thinking a lot. So let's leave them like that on that.
We can do like
Uh-huh. Tell me and tell us a little bit about what is the bigger thing, the area that you're curious that you're working on right now, because I personally know, and I know maybe
the biggest area.
Okay, let me ask you this way: would you be able to talk a little bit about the women collection?
Yeah, I was going to say that. Yeah, I don't have anything. I'm barely even starting it, but essentially, I want to obviously just create beautiful free expression, mostly dresses and variations of that. But I want to. They'll be unnecessary. Essentially, they'll be extravagant. They'll be over the top, but they will also be incredibly functional. And maybe that idea will be pushed on to future endeavors into women's clothing. I've just recently found out that women's clothing lacks so much. One of the biggest ones, it's kind of funny, is pockets. Every girl complains about not having pockets. Other ones I can think of is the fit of clothing. It's the look of it. There's so many different body shapes and sizes with women. It's like, how do you serve all these different body types? I mean, with men, it's easy because, women have skin tight.
Yeah, exactly. Like first of all, we're not like curvy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so, and there's so many different shapes and sizes. I mean, guys, for the most part, there's height and there's weight. That's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's pretty easy to pinpoint. I mean, with women, there's just so many other factors. So, so hopefully we start to endeavor into pushing a new generation of women's clothing that really serves the women's body. That's what I want to do, is serve the women's body, like enlighten the women's body, make a woman feel empowered through her clothing. Yeah.
Amazing. And also for all those female listeners out there who are in LA or in LA, feel free to hit Kaka up and about being part of the creation process of the new women collection.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
100%.
That'll be fun.
Yeah.
And
amazing.
Yeah. I'm going to ask you this one last thing. I'm genuine. Yeah. I'm super curious about what you're going to say about this. One last question, a fun one, an interesting one, is that, check this out. If you had to be, let's say, shipwrecked, or being trapped on an island or a desert, and but all your human needs, such as food and water, were taken care of, what the 2 items would you want to have with you?
You mean like physical material? Like,
yeah.
What to? I'm by myself.
Yeah.
On the island.
Yeah. I want a hot as model.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I want 2 hot as models.
Yeah, exactly.
That's genius.
Yeah. If that works, does that work?
Yeah, that works perfect.
There you go. Okay.
Amazing. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Don Kaka, and we'll have you back soon. Very much. I have so many other questions I want to ask you about. Yeah, brother.
Yeah, 100%. Beautiful.
All right, it is a pleasure, and till next time.
Much love.
Much love.